Alright, heading over to the shop, and just kind of an average boring day. Oh yeah, that bus is still here. Oh, those guys, they're the best. Hey guys, Jake here with White House on the Hill, and I just wanted to introduce you to a mentor of mine, a friend of mine, and he's traveling the country to bring you images of farms big and small, show you people's stories from across the country. And I just wanted to pick his brain as myself being a new YouTuber and just find out how he does what he does, how he films, and how he has risen to success through YouTube. So I've never interviewed before.
Okay, good.
So this should be interesting. For these guys, this guy is Justin Rhodes. If you don't know him, if you're watching my channel, then you probably know him. So there was a recent episode you did where you got your plaque for 100,000 subscribers. And then you said next stop's 1 million. Rebecca laughed at that.
Yeah.
Do you think that's possible?
Oh yeah, for sure. She laughed at us being able to get to 10,000 too.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was going to happen at that point. But with YouTube, what I've noticed already is it's not going to take us as long to get to 200,000 as it did 100,000, and that's what people say. And I don't see why it'd be any different for us at all. We'll get to 1 million now.
Snowball effect, right?
Yeah. One reason is because I have put more and more videos out there. YouTube is like I'm going fishing with a net. Every day I put out a new video. Well, guess what? My net gets bigger. The chances of somebody finding one of my videos are getting bigger and bigger. And YouTube's cool like that because it doesn't go away. It's not like Facebook. You put up something and it's gone in 8 seconds pretty much. You have no more interaction with it. Instagram, it's gone in an hour. But YouTube, my net is still there.
Do you think there's 1 million people that are into homesteading?
That's a good question. See, other industries, you know, I hear a lot of my stats from people in the more entertainment or in the business world where the YouTube is exploding and maybe there's more people there. Wrangler Star's got almost 500,000, I think.
He's at high 600s.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so hopefully though, mine will have an appeal beyond homesteading. Hopefully we put enough just pure good storytelling in there, life situations that people can relate to and laugh at and cry with in there that people who aren't even homesteading can appreciate.
It's a good point, because there's a lot of family vlogs out there and they're huge, and so it's just a matter of them.
I can't figure out their appeal. Those family vlogs that aren't really doing anything.
Not doing anything.
Mom and dad are home and all they do is figure out what we're gonna make a movie on today. And I can't figure out their success. I think it's just maybe because they're so normal. Thanks. And they probably got in there at the right time. They were at the beginning of the time where you could do a family vlog. I mean, Shay Tard pioneered that. And then now Ellie and Jared and Sam and Nia and those type of people are riding that wave. I think it'd be really hard to get into that now. I think the movement now is family vlogs are fine. I would like to think that we have a family vlog, but we're about something. When we were at home, we were about a happy family growing our own food. And now we're about a happy family going and featuring others across America, finding the best farms in the world, or the best farms in America. And it's a story, it's a good overarching story. And so I think the future for blogging is not what we gotta create some content today, but more documenting something interesting you're already doing. So it doesn't even have to be homesteading. If you're a firefighter and you are allowed to bring a camera and there's appropriate times, you know, you're gonna need to update in between or whatnot. Right. You're not gonna go in the fire with that, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is going to be key, is that they have a story centered around that. It needs to be about something nowadays. I think we got in that early with homesteading. We were the first to do the reality style homestead with some entertainment in there, and now there's a bunch of people doing it. And I think that's just proof that even across industries, not just homesteading, that's the direction blogging is taking. It's got to be about something now.
on this tour, I mean, a lot of it's showing what people are doing out there. Like you were doing before, you were inspiring people. On this tour, you're inspiring people. Is that the main motivator for what you do, or why do you do it?
We get some mean comments sometimes, and the things that get us through that, those are the ones that tend to stick in your head, and especially early on. Now, you know, we've learned how to deal with it, but especially early on, what got us through that was when we first started meeting fans. Like when we met James in Atlanta, he's a little Down syndrome boy, cute as can be. He comes up with a big innocent smile and wants to hug me. This is why I'm doing it. I would like to go into the grave inspiring millions of people to grow their own food. That's one less egg, one less lettuce, one less gallon of milk grown conventionally, which is destroying bodies. But I'm also very happy to entertain people and make somebody like James just smile and forget his troubles for a little while. And that's our goal. That one, you would learn something, and two, that you would laugh in every episode. And I think we've done that, save the one where Mr. Brown wasn't breathing. Nobody was laughing at
right. Talking about YouTube videos, from filming to editing, the ideas to all the way through the process. How much you guys work together, and then when it goes to the editing table, how much does that play out through what you guys create there?
That's tricky business when you're going to go in and especially if people are starting to think about vlogging, and I imagine if people are watching this, they're probably going to want to start doing that. It can be tricky going in, you know, you're going to work together. Do you work together good as a couple? Really, you have to hash it out and do it enough to finally figure out what's her strengths and what's his strengths, what's her weaknesses and his weaknesses. First of all, one of the big struggles is, what are we gonna vlog about? And on a homestead, you gotta let the chickens out every day. And for me, you gotta milk the cow and feed. You know, you can have an hour of chores that are the same every day. And what in the heck are you gonna vlog about? On the road, it's not so hard because every day there's always something to talk about. But in the homestead, there's not always something new. So sometimes at night, Rebecca would say, what is the vlog gonna be about tomorrow? And sometimes I couldn't answer that, even the next morning. I mean, it's been late in the day before we finally figured out the vlog. One thing that helped me figure out what in the world the vlog is going to be about is, if I didn't know, I would sit down and force myself to write 10 ideas myself. And usually 7 or 8 of them were ridiculous, and 2 of them were fine, and I would have an idea. Another thing that worked for me is because I had the point and shoot, like what you're using, what I call, it's like a Canon G7X. I would carry that on me and just document some of the more interesting things throughout the day, and then could really put something together.
Did you ever plan out, like, I've got this project to do, or I've got these things to do? Or how did you go through your schedule from day to day? Or did you just let it play out from day to day?
That helped too, is having a project. I don't see anybody doing any projects or dares or anything like that, besides maybe I'm gonna vlog for 30 days. What about making one dish from the farm that had at least one thing from the farm or something? You can have all these different challenges. Because when I had 100 days of food, I prioritized the growing of the food during that, and there was most of the time a story. Now, in the middle of that, because we use permaculture and we work with nature, not against, it kind of backfired on the movie making, because sometimes you don't got anything to do, because in the spring you heavily mulch, you plant, and really, in the way I was doing it, with the chickens doing the work and whatnot, really, they were doing everything. And it was sometimes like, what in the world are we gonna do? And finally harvest time come around, we had some more things to talk about. So first it was just brainstorming, coming up with what is the project tomorrow. And it helped me a little bit, because would I have slapped together that A-frame greenhouse? I don't know. Because you're documenting your life, you also end up pushing yourself to farm. You want your farm to look better. You want to personally get better. And so I think that was beneficial. You brainstorm, you have a project. And another thing that I've started to do on the road, maybe I'm getting a shot of the getting there, or a shot of the way there, or whatnot, and I feel like, oh, it's not really that great, or we're missing a piece, or we're missing a link, or there's no good transitions from this scene to that scene, I'll start doing what I call narration. And that can kind of revive, okay, story. Keep the camera rolling if any bloopers happen, or if you make any mistakes. YouTube loves mistakes. I learned that early on. You know, I wanted to hide those at first, but when I learned to embrace those, we did better than ever. Yeah. And so you just talk about those and what you're going to do different, take people along on the journey.
you're making your videos, how did you learn how to film early on? How did you learn how to edit? How did you learn those skills or develop those skills early on?
Mainly doing it every day. Practice makes perfect. We're probably masters now. We probably have our 10,000 hours in. Practically though, we knew Adobe Premiere. We had known enough that that's the best.
Yeah.
That's an editing software. And so we got a course from Do-It-Yourself Video Guy. We bought an online course on how to do Adobe Premiere. So that's like the technical. That's like the actually how to make a cut. It's like not the art, it's the science. And then for filming, I think that is coming from doing it every day. And a lot of our techniques from Casey and I set. So watching the best vlogger in the world, not because we agree with it or we appreciate that lifestyle or whatever, not because of that, but because we are watching to learn. It's like if you want to be a swimmer, you're going to watch Michael Phelps.
When you're making your daily videos, how do you see them as successful? Do you look back on them and say that was a really good video, or how do you grade yourself on your videos? Do you look at views, that it's entertaining people? How do you view them after you've done them?
We'll finish a video and we'll be like, that was real good, or sometimes we'll say, well, that's definitely not going to win the Academy Award. We recognize and feel that was really good or that was not. We can also look at a video and say this is going to be popular with the audience and not, but these two are not the same thing.
Sure.
The videos I think are most successful are the ones we've poured our heart into and that come together. The song was nice, I was on top of it with the filming, I felt good, the edit came together nice, it told a good story, and a good story is a beginning, middle, and an end, and I've poured my heart into it. I didn't cut any corners. It kind of happens to be that what I think are some of the best movies I've ever made tend to be the least popular. You know, for example, the Wright Brothers video. That's one of the best movies I ever made.
Okay.
Remembering Noah when he died, of the Jamesons. The best movie I ever made. The kids' first time at the beach. The best. Those weren't the farming movies. Those are a little bit more about deeper life, I guess.
Yeah.
Or it's not a farmer talking and explaining something, so it gets to be a little bit more movie-ish, and there's a little more edit into it, and there's actually a little more work into it. Even if they're shorter, like some of these 7-minute videos are some of the best and have taken some of the longest time, and I do believe it's why some of those videos, not because they're 7 minutes, but because they're really good, that people want more.
Yeah.
And they said that video is too short.
Yeah.
If it wouldn't take forever to make a 45-minute movie epic like those 7-minute ones, that quality of editing, which will be our movie when it comes out, but it's going to take a long time to edit that, people would want more even after 45.
What about on the flip side? Now I've heard about Killing Your Fat Hen video. That's been your biggest video. Are there any videos like that you've been surprised about?
Putting the fat hen out of the misery was the first time I ever put the apron-wearing permaculture chicken ninja master should not have a fat hen. And here I was with a fat hen. It's so fat it killed her. And I was so sick when I published that. So sick about it, I had to take a nap. But right away, people said, thank you for showing this. We really learned from these mistakes. We really appreciate it. Thank you for being vulnerable like this. That's how it went on and on and on. So then it was successful. If it teaches anybody anything, and if somebody laughed, it's successful. If you go back and look at it, it's a pretty good story, because if you go back and look at it, you see that I find this hen, and then we go to some other scenes, so it's kind of like a movie, you know, like it's developing. It keeps people on the line. I didn't know this at the time, but YouTube likes to see people watch a movie for a long time, and then they're gonna push it. So people are obviously spending a lot of time on the fat hen because they want to finally get to why is he putting a fat hen out of her misery? So then we had the climax where we had to put her out of her misery, and that's a struggle. You know, I look back and it's interesting, some of the most popular movies are putting the fat hen out of the misery, this snake ate my chicken alive, I knocked out my 1,000-pound bull. And at first I thought the world's sick. Why are these the best movies? But they're the best movies because there's a struggle, and those are always the best stories. Is that there has to be a struggle. If you look at all the classic movies, you know, The Lord of the Rings, there's this epic struggle that people go through, and then we as a human race want to see the struggle, but we want to see how they overcome it. And
then early on in your YouTubing, what would you wish you would have known
Yeah.
for a new YouTuber like myself, that you're like, man, if I could go back to that time and do something differently, go down anything in the filming, editing, idea-wise, to get to where I am now, what would I have done?
You know, I'll look back at my old videos and be like, oh my gosh, I can't barely even watch them. They're so terrible. But I mean, people still like them. They're still there. I mean, even Permaculture Chickens, that was my very first film performance. So I'm not the most animated. It's good information and people appreciate it still. That's like you can't watch it because I feel like I've gotten better. I can look back and see, oh, I would make this cut shorter. There are like 40 stories in this. We need to cut this down to 3 stories. This 15-minute movie should have been 9 minutes. But I leave those up there for you and others to see, that everybody has a start. And what's most important is you got to get better every day at the filmmaking and the homesteading and the entertainment. You just got to get better every day.
What kind of advice is that? You just got to get better.
How can I just beat that into people's head? Look at yourself and say, how could I do this better tomorrow? And I'm sorry, it's that simple. I am.
Yeah.
If you want to lose weight, you exercise and eat better. So all you got to do in YouTubing is, well, you got to love it. Why are you doing it? You can't just do it for the money. It's fine if you want to make money at it, but you got to love it, because what else when I lay in bed at 11 o'clock, just take a little break and say, oh my goodness, I got to get up. Rebecca has done the first part of the edit. Now I got to go to the second, and it's 11 o'clock at night. I should be going to bed. It's only love that's going to get you up and do that. And the desire to get better. I can't emphasize that enough. I got to be able to live with myself, and I got to be somebody that my children can be proud of. And some people may not appreciate that.